Former police officer Aaron Dean is guilty of manslaughter. That is the lesser charge in this case, and that is significant. It's a very different verdict than a verdict of guilty on the murder charge in Texas in particular. Aaron Dean guilty of manslaughter in the shooting death of Atatiana Jefferson. Looking at a sentence, I understand, under Texas law of anywhere between 2, the low end of to the top end of 20 years. Once again, this police officer shot Atatiana Jefferson while she was standing in her grandmother's home where she was staying, and she heard someone in the backyard, Dean, going around the house, responding to a call of an open structure, that the doors were open, did not announce himself as a police officer, saw Atatiana Jefferson inside her home. She had her own weapon, being concerned about the prowler, what she thought was a prowler. He ordered her to show her hands and shot her. And so the jury got this case. Dean indicted for murder, and manslaughter is a lesser charge, and the jury decided the lesser charge was the more appropriate one given the facts here, and convicted Aaron Dean of manslaughter. For more, let's bring in ABC News' Alex Perche. Alex, this is another of the many cases that we cover, because there are many cases in America over a black person being shot, sometimes a misunderstanding by a white police officer. It has that, but it also has this guy, the jury decided, is responsible for her death because he wasn't acting properly as a police officer in that situation, did not announce himself.
Well, Terry, there are a couple of key things here in Dean's actions that we knew that jurors took note of. Number one, he did not park near the home. He did not knock at the door or announce a police presence at any time while on the scene. And all this was according to body camera footage and Dean's testimony. And so, look, throughout these 5 days of testimony, we heard from a number of witnesses, but many of them actually within law enforcement. We heard from Dean's partner that night, a woman by the name of Officer Carol Darch. We also heard from the call center operator who gave Dean and Darch the information about Jefferson's home. We heard from Dean himself. And lastly, jurors heard from Richard Fries, who is the deputy medical examiner for that county in Fort Worth.
Just to give a little background to those that are just tuning in as we're looking at file footage actually from the home where Atatiana Jefferson was, you can actually see where that bullet went right through the window. She was inside, Aaron Dean on the outside. He was responding to a call, apparently, on Jefferson's home, October 12th. This was back in 2019, by the way. This was a few years ago that we've been keeping track of this. Happened about 2:30 in the morning because a door was left open to the house, and you're actually seeing the body cam video right here. You can see his weapon drawn. You can see her through the window there. So the video clearly tells everything. The body cam tells everything. According to Dean's testimony, along with the body cam footage, as you pointed out, Alex, he didn't park near the home, knock at the door, or announce his presence at the time when he was on the scene. He testified that this was a suspected burglary in progress and that he was acting quickly. And he testified that the house looked messy inside, so that matched the description of what he was responding to. And then when he entered the backyard, you saw there by the body cam footage, you see him looking into one of the windows. You could actually see Tatiana on the other side. And here's kind of another heart-wrenching part of this story, is that apparently Tatiana was watching over her 11-year-old, well, he's now 11 years old. He was 8 years old at the time, her nephew Zion, and he was playing video games when he heard the noise and then testified that he heard the gunshots. There he is right there, where in his suit and tie testified in the court of law. Apparently Jefferson grabbed her gun before approaching the window. That's what Zion testified when he was in court there. And police officials said that Jefferson was within her rights to protect herself. Own that gun.
She's in her own domicile.
She didn't know what she was dealing with. He didn't identify himself as a police officer. So everything happens clearly within seconds when you're in that situation. And Dean did resign from the police department before his arrest. The police chief, Fort Worth police chief did come forward and say that Dean was about to be fired, actually, for allegedly violating multiple department policies. So he had a background. He was on the chief's radar and was on the brink of being fired, and then this went down. And we see where we are today. He's out of a job, and today he is found guilty on the charge of manslaughter for killing 28-year-old Atatiana Jefferson.
And Alex, this verdict, because it is the lesser charge, may well come as a disappointment, a stinging disappointment for Tatiana's family and for the many people we're seeing pictures of protests around this shooting of Atatiana Jefferson, and the jury could not get to a murder conviction. What they decided is that this officer was, a former officer was acting completely inappropriately and criminally, but not in a premeditated or even a manner that would render the moment guilty, a guilty verdict on murder. Because what they seem to have said is that this was just terrible policing. In a moment of confusion and cowardice, he killed a person that he had no right to, but it doesn't amount to murder. How will that verdict go down, do you think, with the family and with others who have followed this case?
Well, Terry, I think one of the things that people are going to start to scrutinize. Well, first off, I should say that at this point we've covered a few of these trials, right? Whether it be Chauvin in Minneapolis, also Officer Kim Potter, and now here. But what people are going to be asking questions about is that last point that Kira just mentioned. Yes, Dean resigned from the police department, but the police chief there, Ed Krause, said that he was about to be fired for allegedly violating multiple department policies. And so there was going to be a scrutiny there as to what his record was, who knew about that record. And certainly, you know, there are going to be some in that community that look at today as a partial win, or maybe not a win at all, because they were hoping for a murder conviction. But I think there's also going to be scrutiny of, well, look, I mean, if there is a track record, why wasn't it up until, you know, this terrible accident, this terrible shooting in 2019 that, you know, this was raised to a point where action was actually taken?
Alex Prochet, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.